what experience did you have in road construction?
No experience.
How does a firm like Cable and Wireless give you, Rayneau Gajadhar, from on top of the hill of the bad hill, work to repair roads and you were not qualified?
And that is because I had acted as a subcontractor for their contractors in the past. I had even done some works for government in doing small road repairs as well. So I had some level of experience in road repairs. And based on my performance is the reason why I was given that job. Around 1997, when I was in concrete, I realized that there was not a very good supply of stone. And I decided maybe I should buy a quarry. So I went to Lyle Chase, who is one of the people that is very close to me, that I tell almost everything that I'm up to. And I said to him, I'd like you to call Mr. DeVoe and let him know that I'm interested in buying the quarry. And I sat with him, and when I told him that, he laughed. And he laughed a big laugh, saying to me, Rayneau, are you a madman? Do you know what a quarry is? And at that time, I said to him, no, I'm serious. And he was watching me like something must be wrong with me because of what I'm thinking and what I'm getting into. Well, he did ask, and they were not ready to sell.
Tell me what you saw in that quarry. Tell me what your vision was. Pisu Pantila, at that time. You did not have the money at the time to purchase the quarry, but what was your vision for it?
The fact that I knew that I was in concrete and I had to have some level of security in the supply of material, I knew I had to go into the quarry. What made it better for me at the time was the Millennium Highway was being constructed. The Mon had always been a major hurdle for that quarry in cul-de-sac because you had to come over the Mon with the loads. But the Millennium Highway, being it was constructed, I said that would have made a perfect opportunity. So during that time when the Millennium Highway started is when I said, when it's completed, then I could take advantage of it for the movement of material.
You're in the quarry business, and legally, you must get a blasting license and so forth. So tell me where you went to study and what was happening at the time.
Actually, there was a course being run in the University of West Indies, and I decided I would take part in it. I actually took part in it together with 4 or 5 of my workers. We went up to Trinidad and we did the course. They were offering blast design and shot firing. There's a difference. Shot firing is for you to be able to set off the blast. Blast design is for you to design the blast to what you want to achieve. I had done both of those courses, and the shot firing course was a much easier course, so most students passed that exam. However, the blast design was significantly more difficult, and I think out of about 40 of us, either 2 or 3 of us had only passed. He had employed another contractor to start the job, and after the first 2 weeks, he was not happy with the contractor's progress in the works. And he just called me out of the way and he said to me, Rayneau, do you think you could do that job? And I said to him, yes. And he said to me, go and get the drawings and give me a price. Between the time I went on site and the time they had the grand opening was 11.5 months. And that was really, really good for St. Lucia in construction. And to deliver a hotel to open in 11.5 months, I think was very good at the time. About that time, I think we were about 1,100 during 2004, 2005. However, 2006 came around, I actually got the extension of the Armand Morganby at the time, that new extension. By 2006, I had over 2,000 workers. That job, I had competition. They were leaning towards giving it to C. Williams. And at that time, Michael Shastney was close to them. And he was the one who actually, the godfather for that job for me. He was the one who said to them, if you want your job in a hurry, give it to Rayneau. And I think they had swayed towards me because of that. And I got that job, and they were extremely happy. During the time I was building like Armand Morganby, Ralph Taylor acquired Smuggler's Cove. And it was just, I was just like 4 months into the construction of Armand Morganby. And he said to me, Rayneau, I want you to do Smuggler's Cove. So he actually took me to Smuggler's Cove, and I did a lot of the work at Smuggler's Cove together with Armand Morganby. So at that time, you could say I didn't really have competition because he was really satisfied with what I was doing. The Labour Party was in power and things were good. Come December the 11th, 2006, was elections. The UWP won. St. Lucia was booming. I had bidded on 21 projects in St. Lucia during that time that should have happened in St. Lucia. And on those projects would have amounted in excess of $1 billion US. And when the UWP won, with all the plans that they had, I decided that I would go and invest in some more equipment, because if those projects came through, it would have been impossible for it to happen without more equipment on the island. I left St. Lucia, went to China, and bought some equipment.
Slow down, boss. Slow down. Because you're saying bought equipment like it's a fridge you go and buy. That was $50 million worth of equipment.
Yes, it was $20 million US worth of equipment that I had bought at that time. I had taken a loan from RBTT, and I had taken a loan from Bank of St. Lucia. So between the two banks at that time, I was in debt of over $40 billion.
And they gave you, the little guy from on top of the bad little.
Because we were doing well at the time too. St. Lucia was doing well, we were doing it, yes. Well, I was at $46 million between the two banks at December 2006.
And you decided to go to China.
Yes.
Tell me the thought process. Tell me with their trepidations, butterflies, $46 million worth of butterflies before you made that move.
It was, I was not thinking like that. That didn't sound like anything to me. I mean, it just sounded like, just like anything else. It didn't really, that didn't bother me in one way or the other.
You make 46 mil sound like a flat screen TV, boss.
No, because, I mean, at that time, I was doing well. Business was good. St. Lucia was booming. We evolved, we had done well. So it didn't sound like anything much. However, by the time the equipment got to St. Lucia, it was June 2007. And on its arrival, you know, government had changed and St. Lucia was not doing as well as it was supposed to. World Cup cricket was coming, everything was in a rush. World Cup cricket came, and then you had a crash.
The global financial meltdown, it was called. And how did that affect CIE?
That affected CIE really, really bad. What nobody would know, or nobody would have even figured out, was between RBTT and Bank of St. Lucia, I had not paid my loans for 21 months. RBTT was like 17 months, not a cent. And Bank of St. Lucia, 21 months, not a cent. So you could imagine the interest that was being accrued on those loans and not paying anything towards it.
15 months you ain't pay your loan to 2 banks. How do you fall asleep at night, bro?
Actually, at that time, I slept better. And that was because, you know, during those periods when you're supposed to be under pressure is when you're supposed to be a lot more focused. So you don't sleep at night, you don't wake up tomorrow morning focused and ready to take another day on. So the better thing to do is to sleep at night and be ready for another day. What is the worst that could have happened? The banks came in, they took it, and they went away. Rayneau would still be Rayneau. And I had to focus on continuing to be Rayneau even after that time.
How did the market change and how were you able to start picking up?
The market really didn't change as such for that period of time. I changed. I reorganized. I changed the way I was doing things to accommodate for the situation at the time. But it was not until 2010 that we saw something happening in St. Lucia. And that is when, I mean, even in the worst time, that is when I went in and I offered the UWP government at the time, under Stephenson King, I offered to do financing of infrastructure in St. Lucia.
How were you able to do that?
So even if things was bad for me, I continued. I had my quarry, I had the resources, I had the equipment. I agreed to offer financing for them on it and pay over a period of time. So I utilized the material, the equipment, and you know, whatever small that was coming in to put towards the project. And we did the project. And I don't know if you remember, it was elections at that time. And I had done, for that period of time, 21 roads in St. Lucia in less than 3 months.
Around that same time, you were getting into construction financing, not just with the government, but with individual contractors. Tell me the rationale for that.
The reason for that is because, you know, so many small contractors always find it difficult to finance their projects. So what I decided to do was the fact that I didn't really want to bid against the smaller contractors for the small jobs at the time. I decided I would turn around and help them and work with them so that I get a share of it. So I went in and I did contractor financing. So any contractor who got, I still do it in a big way now, any contractor who got a project from government, I would give them all the materials, I would give them cash to pay their workers, I'd basically finance the job for them, and then I would wait until government pays for me to get my money. And then I give them the difference.
That's unheard of, Ray. It's absolutely unheard of. Some would say that you're feeding the same sharks that will come back to bite you. What would you say?
I feel good that I can help out a lot of the small contractors. I think they are very happy with the service that they get from us. In a lot of the cases, the small contractors are people who get jobs and not even contractors, but are just people who just get a job and know nothing to do. I feel good that because I can go out and help them and guide them as to how to execute and how to get it done, and they in turn make some money.
2009 to 2010, you are operating out of Corinth, correct?
Yes.
You have a concrete plant in a residential area, correct?
Yeah.
Tell me the dangers of that and the annoyance to the neighbors.
They were not really dangerous to that.
Rayneau, you had trucks up and down this road.
There still are trucks up and down this road.
Up and down. Ray, every third vehicle that passed on that road was one of your trucks. You had a concrete plant in a residential area. How do you mean there's no danger to it?
Because it was not a residential area at the time. At the time,
2009, Ray.
yes, but remember, I was there way before that.
Sapaza Fenu. Houses came. You had a concrete plant running in a residential area. Tell me the dangers of that.
In terms of dangers, there aren't any dangers, right? In terms of noise or nuisance, maybe yes, because you worked all hours.
Dust.
Right? Dust was limited dust. There was not really dust to talk about.
You had a period of time where the neighbors complained of asthma, allergies, and all sorts of ailments, courtesy your concrete plant.
Maybe we should do a review now and see if those same people have asthma and allergies. Because I think that is something that's common and people have asthma and allergies. Has anybody done a review right now that we are not there to see if those people have asthma or anybody else has asthma or allergies?